Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of the Saturday Morning Gaming Show. It is October 26th, 2019, and I am your co-host, Thefatwizard, joined today by...
Obi-Wan Lobos. Kenobi.
Hey, folks, this is Ryan. So we're actually rebranding my character as the Fat Wizard, so that will be the last time I'll come in as Ryan. That's kind of why we did that little change there. Oh. Also, if you're watching the stream, we're dressed up. I'm dressed up as the Fat Wizard.
I'm dressed up as generic Jedi.
Yes, but
with glasses.
But everyone knows who you are, so I think you're kind of a unique specimen.
Well, thank you.
So today we're checking out System Shock 2.
Oh my goodness.
Which was released in 1999. So it's right on the cusp of our retro game rules.
Oh, heck it is. 20 years on the dot.
Which is awesome because one of the things we want to do at the end of this year is do a game of the 1999 deliberations. So this game will qualify for all those things. So take a look for that.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
So for folks unfamiliar with the game, it's a really interesting hybrid of action, first-person shooting, and role-playing.
RPGing.
Yeah, and lots of inventory management.
Yes.
And this game is the type of game I really, really love in that you kind of just hoard everything and just go through the game with minimal things. And so by the end of the game, you just have this plethora of inventory items that you can just dominate.
This is always how RPGs work for me, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Save all the items for the end, and then maybe even don't use them then. And then New Game Plus or something.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, again, this is the sequel, System Shock 2 sequel. The original System Shock, a quick background on how that worked. It was basically there was this rogue AI called Shodan on the station called Citadel Station, and she was released upon the station and basically murdered everyone. And so that game ends with more or less them jettisoning Shodan, the AI, outside of the station to save Earth and the station. And we kind of now we don't know this yet, but Shodan will have returned for System Shock 2. Yeah.
No.
But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Why don't you talk a little bit about the entrance here and like the three classes you can choose and how they do the character selection?
Well, sure. I had never played this, but from just seeing the beginning, I thought to myself like, oh, this is like Half-Life because you get out of a subway tram. Yeah. But
and then they're like, Gordon Freeman, you must kill Shut. And you're like, whoa, this is really like Half-Life.
Wait a minute. No, it's an interesting sequence where you kind of you're setting up a history for your character, and in doing so, you choose stats. So whether you want to be good with guns, or you want to be good with hacking, or psionics, which is a thing in this game. And so based on your decisions, they'll give you like a little story blip, and they have you choose like a choice for every year, but also a choice at the beginning for which branch of the military you're like training for, because it's kind of like a training program.
Yeah, there's three branches. There's the Marine branch. That's your standard run and gun. You have the Navy branch, which is sort of like hacking and maintenance and kind of in the middle between.
Balanced. Mm-hmm.
And then you have the OSA, which I actually don't know what the OSA stands for, but it's essentially your psionics group. And we ran a poll on our Twitter. Our Saturday M Gaming Twitter. And there was a dead tie between Marines and OSA as people's favorite class at 40%, each one garnered.
See, and I chose the Navy. And I feel like nobody wants to go in the middle, but I wanted to go in the middle, so I did it, all right?
Well, I was thinking about going Navy as well, because hacking is a super important thing in this game, as we'll talk about later. And I knew that because I'd played this game as a child. But I really wanted to try something new, and I was looking at the psionics power, and I was like, there's a lot of really interesting depth here. Well, let's check that out.
That was the first thing I did, was look at, when you start to upgrade your character, there's generally like 4 little kiosks that you can interact with, and one will upgrade stats, one will upgrade psionics, one will upgrade tech, and one will upgrade weapons, I think. And if you open up that psionics kiosk panel or whatever, you can just look at all the things that are available. And I immediately went to like tier 7 psionics and just looked at those abilities, and I was like, oh,
there's a lot there.
That's impressive, but that would take a lot of investment. So
yeah, it really does. It, you know, to get up to level 7, you have to spend. We'll just talk about the experience system. So it's not really an experience system, but as you hit checkpoints or you find loot, you find these cybernetic modules. And the reason why you get them at checkpoints is Dr. Paletti, who has contacted you initially and says, hey, we need you to help out here. She is uploading cybernetic modules because you have some experimental technology inside of your body. And so you can either find these cybernetic modules or you can get them from achieving checkpoints, you know, like you push the button to open the elevator and now you can go to the next level sort of thing. Or you found the key card.
Right, yeah.
It's designated checkpoints there.
Sure. And
you can spend these to upgrade, like you're saying, upgrade those skills. But the cybernetic stuff, the cliff is quite high to get those. So for instance, raising something like your strength from, like, let's say level 2 to 3 may cost 8 or 10 cybernetics points. Yep. Now to get additional levels in psionics, you have to basically like spend a bunch of points to even be able to access those.
Right.
And so to get from like level 1 to 2, that's going to cost probably like 30 cybernetic points. But to go from 4 to 5, it's like 70 or 80.
Yeah, but one thing I did notice is you don't need the first tiers of psionics in order to unlock the later ones.
Oh, is that so? You can just go straight to the end.
Yeah, it was kind of later, and I was like, let's try some of these later ones. And yeah, sure enough, I was able to unlock like level 2 before I had done
that's
level
really
1.
awesome. I didn't realize. I thought it was a gated thing.
Yeah.
In any case, I think we can still agree that putting an investment of like I can increase 2 or 3 stats, or I can give myself the ability to learn that doesn't even give you any psionics abilities.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what's really great about psionics is it kind of allows you to do everything in the game. So there will be things like that will increase your strength or increase your defense or increase your agility for a time.
Right.
And so you're basically supplementing your weaknesses with your psionics, which I thought was a lot of fun.
And for a game like this, normally with a whole like tree devoted to like psionics or some sort of special thing that's, you know, kind of out of the ordinary, like I want to dive into that, but honestly that up in front cost really deterred me from doing so I ended up just not using psionics at all. You have a resource for that, which is it called psi points. Psi points. Yep. And you can drink like alcoholic beverages and they heal you, but they drain your psi points, things like that.
Or you can smoke cigarettes and that damages your health but gives you psi points.
It gives you psi points, yeah. And what I ended up doing is I'm just always at 0 psi points. And
so you're just an alcoholic.
I'm an alcoholic. Yeah. I'm just all about keeping myself
You're wandering around
healthy.
The halls. You're like, hey, this is my space station. You kids get off it.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's drill into the game itself a little bit, because we're progressing quite nicely. So essentially, the first thing you do is you wake up and you're like in cryo storage, and you find out that the ship has kind of gone rogue. There are bad things here. There are aliens that are coming at you and killing the civilians or the crew members here. And so the first thing you do, you're contacted by a woman, Dr. Polito, and she's like, "Hey, you got to hurry up because the area is going to decompress." So you kind of go out and you solve a quick little puzzle, and then you save yourself. And then she kind of gives you the lay of the land that this ship has been hijacked, and you have to go up and meet her in person on Deck 4, I believe.
Deck 4, yeah.
Yeah. And she's meanwhile kind of giving you guidance. The first thing you do, actually, I wanted to touch on, was you enter in a key code, and the key code is 45100.
Oh.
And a little bit of trivia, that's actually apparently it's a very common key combination in video games because it's basically a reference to Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And apparently the key combination to get into Looking Glass Studios, the company that made this game was 451 at some point. So maybe not the most secure thing. Again, I don't know what part of the office or for how long, but it was listed as a no.
Just all of their PIN numbers in the place, all the security codes. It's not a great way to do it, but I'm sure Ray would be proud.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk a little bit about the story here as it pertains to classical science fiction. So this is actually very common in like Dead Space. I think even Event Horizon has stuff like this. But it's essentially there's an expedition. There's two ships called the Von Braun and the Rickenbacker. And the Von Braun is this sort of experimental technology that allows for faster than light travel.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the classic science fiction paradigm there of FTL travel.
The dream, the space dream.
And the Rickenbacker doesn't have that technology, but they decided, hey, if we just attach the Rickenbacker, which, by the way, Rickenbacker is kind of like the military vessel, and the Von Braun is more like your science, think of it like an Starship Enterprise sort of thing.
Right.
And so the Rickenbacker would attach to the Von Braun and then go into faster light travel. Of significance, the Von Braun was actually named after a German scientist. Let's see, I have, his name was Werner Magnus Maximilian Freiherr von Braun. Okay, that's the part we really care about, von Braun. Anyway, and he was around from 1912 to 1977. He was a German and then later American aerospace engineer.
Oh,
so
nice.
kind of a call back to that. I think that's a popular science fiction thing, naming those spaceships after, or futuristic science vessels or spaceships after kind of scientific
Older
leaders
scientists.
and stuff.
Yeah, people who,
Although I've never heard of the ship called the Einstein.
I mean, there's Einsteinium.
That's true. That's cool.
On the periodic table.
Yeah.
So one of the big things in this game, I was actually cautioned about this early on, is hacking. The fact that if you get to a certain points in the game and maybe you don't have enough hacking and you don't have some items that allow you to hack, it's possible to get soft locked.
Yes.
But hacking is everywhere, so even without that knowledge, I was kind of like, oh yeah, hacking seems very important. There's all these security chests or security crates that give you all sorts of items if you hack them. There's all sorts of buttons that you want to use, but you can't use them unless you know the code, or you can hack them, or the security system, you can hack it, and it becomes very obvious quickly that you're going to want to be good at hacking.
Yeah, and for the most part, you don't need to have any particular skill set. The game does do a pretty good job of having multiple areas or avenues. Think of it like a predecessor to something like Deus Ex or BioShock, where they're like, hey, there's a bunch of different ways to solve these things.
Yeah.
You can go through stealthily, you can go through by hacking, you can go through by just blowing everything up. But yeah, to your point, there are some hard stops where you actually need to hack something or have an item to hack it, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get there.
Yeah.
So going back to what we're actually doing here, so essentially we moved on from the first floor onto the second floor, and we initially went through like this flooded, it's like a radioactive hallway. And this is the first time where you see a ghost, and they kind of explain it around as they're like, oh, it's the Dr. Polito says it's like interference with your module, but it's basically, hey, it's ghosts.
Yeah.
And I remember, again, this is 1999. This game looked phenomenal for then. And I remember I was probably like 16-year-old kid, it freaks me out seeing a ghost appear. I was like, oh my God. Now we go through and it's not even really that scary, but I do remember that being a thing where it's just like, I am so unnerved by these ghosts here. And they seem like they're kind of playing out. Most of the ghosts you see seem to be playing out their last memories before they were killed.
Yeah.
So you go through this radioactive tube, and essentially what you need to do is you have to flush out the tubes from the radiation. And it's sort of funny because this is like one of these things that do a seemingly similar or simple thing. You have to do a lot of little things. So basically, you go up to the engine control, and they're like, oh, well, the engine control is locked, so you have to go find the key card from the engineering, or like, the engineering bay.
Right.
And then so you get there, and this is this whole long sequence of turrets that come out and attack you, and then the servant robots come and they're like, hey, they come at you and they're like, please, master, I want to serve you, and then they blow up.
Yeah, I love these servant robots. They're so friendly, and they're like, oh no, come back. They're almost like C-3PO kind of.
Yeah.
And they're like just kind of wobbling towards you like quickly, and if they get close to you, they'll just self-destruct and blow you up.
And so I'm playing through most of the game with a wrench. I think I also saw you play a lot with the wrench here.
I always tend to go heavy melee if it works, because I like to preserve ammunition and, wait for something big to really unload on and then not have too big of an issue with it.
And so anytime things explode, it's going to hurt you. So I would usually knock them down to low health and then step back and then shoot them. So when you're going down to the cargo bay, you have this little vision. And so, by the way, you have kind of multiple people that are talking to you in your head. You've got Dr. Polito, who's kind of like an authorized channel into your head. And then you have the many, and they're sort of like, they're enforcing their telepathy on you. And as you go into the cargo bay, you get this cutscene of you kind of like being teleported, and it's a cinematic thing where you're going around one of the end areas in the game, and the many is like, why won't you join us?
Yeah, we
just want to help you and be one of us, sort of thing.
Oh, and there's this other AI presence called Xerxes.
Yes.
And was he the original AI on the ship, I believe?
Yes, he seems to be the I'm not sure if he's relegated to just defense here, but he seems that's what his primary motivation is in the game right now.
Sure, but he also talks really interestingly about like joining the flesh and the glory of flesh and all this and that, which is kind of a really twisted way of like protecting humans, but also just caring about.
I think that Xerxes was corrupted by the many. Again, the many being all the little biological creatures that you're fighting against here.
Yeah, they look kind of like zombified humans. There's like little worms that pop out of eggs that are basically straight out of Alien, the movie. There's what is it? The cyber
ninjas or the
cyber ninjas?
Cyber matriarch.
No,
yeah, those are creepy. And the normal ones that come at you, so you've got like basically the brute or the grunt, we'll call it.
Sure.
Where he's got just normal human, but it's kind of like a worm thing attaching his shoulder and his head. When they come at you, they'll be like, "Kill me!"
Yeah.
Or like, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
So it's kind of creepy because I don't know. I'm unnerved by someone that is like attacking you, but it sounds like they have no control. It's like there's someone still in their body and they know what's happening, but they can't control it.
Yeah. I think later we find out that the many are mind controlling people, and that's kind of the link there.
Now we just got the key code combination to get to fluidics control, and once you get there, you can turn off the radiation that's pouring in. So there was an area earlier where you'd have to have like a hazmat suit on, or you would kind of fill up with radiation. Actually, let me take a step back because that's not quite right. You get to the fluidics control, and it's like, all this thing's broken. You have to go back to this other place and find a replacement part, which is it's kind of cool because you go to the storeroom and there's like a bunch of essentially motherboards. And you have to get a specific brand of the motherboard.
Yep.
And so you go in there and then you fill it up. You can, purge fluidics control. So.
Oh, I don't remember this screen.
Yeah. So the next big thing that you need to do is, let me see. Oh, this is one where you have to essentially go to the engine core and you have to reset these two. I think they're called nacelles. And those
yeah.
are basically like engine modules or something like that. And this area right here has some beautiful lighting. It's sort of like this green to red gradient.
Yeah.
And it sort of looks like a if I were in the Starship Enterprise and I saw their warp coils, I would not be surprised to see that sort of color pattern. It was kind of psychedelic there.
Yeah, there's a cool system in this game that I want to talk about.
Let's do it.
It's the whole researching of things, which is basically enemies can drop items and they'll be unidentified, and you can research them. And the first couple items you find, like you can just research, and you basically set it as researching, and then you can do whatever you want, and it researches in the background, and eventually it'll complete, and then maybe you get extra damage against that enemy from now on, but also sometimes you find other things that require chemicals, and I found at least 3 chemical rooms where there's just a stash of all sorts of chemicals.
Yeah, and they'll all be real scientific elements. Which is kind of cool because it's like one of the things is IR, and it's like, oh, that's iridium.
CS, cesium, yeah. But yeah, it was a little. There is like you pick up logs that tell you exactly which chemicals are where.
Yeah. But
the areas are pretty open, and if you're not good at reading the map, it can be a lot of issue to try and get back to like a particular chemical room. So.
The maps, it does have a pretty good map for its day, but it's still a little bit hard to tell where things are. So what will happen is you'll go to one like major area, and you won't be able to cycle through any other maps. So a lot of times later on in the game, you have to backtrack to it'll say backtrack to the bridge. And you look at your open mirror map and you don't see anything that says bridge. And you're like, okay, well, I think I have to go back to this other section, and then you can open up the map and there's the bridge.
Yeah.
So it does require some kind of experimentation and willingness to backtrack there.
Luckily, at some point, you unlock the elevator, and the elevator can basically take you everywhere. So that makes it easier. Yeah.
Now, the next thing that we're doing is we are in the hydroponics bay.
Always a hydroponics bay.
I love that. Again, they do a really great job of making this seem like a livable space. And I think that this type of stuff is really essential in having your self-sufficient spaceship adventure. Like, all right, where people are going to eat, where are they going to have fun, where are they going to work out, and where does the business happen? So having these stuff is always fun. But the reason you're going to hydroponics is, again, you're supposed to meet Dr. Polito up on the ops deck, which is floor number 4.
Yep.
And so you try to go up there, and you get stopped on floor 3.
Yeah, I actually traveled to floor 3 instead of trying to go to 4.
Yeah, me too.
And when I did that, they were like, "It looks like you can't get to floor 4." Yeah. So there's some like biomass that's just blocking the way, and you step out, and there's just like pulsating flesh everywhere on the walls and on the floor and the ceiling, and so you spend your time here trying to get rid of that mass by you create this chemical. I forget what it's called, but
it's just some sort of toxin. They might have a name for it. But
yeah, sure.
You do have to research it.
You do.
So we were talking about some places where there are hard stop gaps. If you have spent absolutely no points into research, you cannot progress past here. But getting points into research is pretty easy, so it's unlikely you'd get hard or soft lock. But I could see a situation where someone got to this point and didn't have the research ability, and it was like, well, okay.
You also do occasionally pick up these little module items that unlock, I think, levels in those things.
That's true.
And I think research was one of them.
But only if you already have a point in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't realize that.
Well, so essentially what you do is you research a toxin, and then you dump the toxin into 4 different regulators, and then you move up to floor 4. And this is where the game throws you for a little bit of a loop here. Let's not spoil it quite yet because we're not quite there. We are on floor 4, and everything is on lockdown. And you're like, okay, what am I going to do? And then so you find this office, and it says Dr. Polito.
Yay!
And you're like, oh, all right. And you open the door, and she's slumped over with a gun on the floor, and there's no blood or anything, but they didn't really render that type of stuff. but you can assume what happens here.
Right.
And you're like, well, that's weird because I was just talking to you.
Yeah.
And so you search her body and you search around and you're like, well, what do I do now? And then you try to leave.
You try to leave, and there's like these invisible walls.
And you're like,
what?
Is there a button I need to push or something like that?
Yeah.
And then you're just kind of hanging out, and I think you start to hear a voice. And so, and then all of a sudden the walls fall away, and it's Shodan.
Dun, dun, dun.
This was a cool moment. I don't know. So when you first talked to Janice Polito, I heard you on your stream. You were like, "Oh, that's obviously a bad girl." Janice Polito is not a bad girl, but Shodan is. Did you know? True. Did you know something was up, or did you kind of assume?
No, I just assumed. I don't know. There are stereotypes, and I usually try to just assume that. And it wasn't. She wasn't the bad person, but she was kind of being controlled by Shodan and leading you here in the first place. But yeah, this whole sequence, granted, if you play it these days, you'll be like, oh, okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I can imagine back when this was new, you're just like, wow, how was that?
Yeah, especially, think about a lot of times, everyone has to have their experience with tropes for the first time sometime in their life.
Sure.
And when you're 15, 16, some of these things are still fresh for you. So this is one of these things where I was caught way off. I think it was one of these things where, you walk into a room and you're like, something's not right here. And you get that kind of chill up your spine. I distinctly remember this is messed up.
Yeah.
And so she explains to you at some point, I don't know if it's right away or later on in the game. She's like, the reason I impersonated Dr. Polito is I needed your trust to actually do my mission. And then Shodan is like, all right, let me be up front with you here.
Yeah.
Okay. And essentially, I don't know, again, how or when information is divulged, but basically what happens, she's like, I created the many, and they got out of control. And so we need to put them down.
Yeah.
And the only way I could get you to help out was by impersonating Polito here.
Right. Earn trust by deceiving you.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right? I think.
Now we're in a quick interlude here because we found a MGD, which is a multi-game device. Did you play any of the games on here?
I played several of the games, absolutely.
So you can find this device, which is basically like a Game Boy thing.
Yeah.
And there's like 6 different games. Which ones did you pick up and play?
So I played the Frogger one, and they're all pig-based. So that one was... what was it called? Hog. I see, and they didn't call it Hogger, and I was like, "Oh, come on, come on."
Hogger would have been good.
It was like Hog Street or Hog Cross, or I can't remember.
Yeah.
I played the one that was basically Minesweeper, Hog Sweeper.
Yep.
And then there was the other one that was like the roguelike.
Yes.
Which I don't remember what the name was, but I will say that I spent way too long on one of those Minesweeper levels.
I played Minesweeper for a long time.
And I didn't beat it.
Oh, really?
I was like flagging so carefully, and I was like, yeah, this, and I was like, nah. And then I just
There's also a golf, which it just controls so terribly because it's like, it's one of those where it's like, all right, do you want to swing to the left or to the right or straight, and do you want to hook, or you like slice under and then 3 clicks to, and you're like, holy crap, no, I'm not gonna even play. I swung the club once, and I'm like, nope, not doing that. Minesweeper works better in that.
You would think they'd have better games in this time period if they've got FTL Travel.
Well, I mean, they're retro gamers just like us.
I guess so.
Yeah. Now, I've actually upgraded my weapon here. I don't know if you found this.
I did find it. I did not use it.
It's a crystal shard.
Yeah.
And so in order to wield this, it's weird because it's not just strength. It's like you need to have a point in exotic weapons.
Ah, yes.
And so I kind of dumped a bunch of points into exotic weapons. And this crystalline shard it honestly looks like just a icicle with these huge shards sticking out of it. And it does a lot of damage. And so I kind of use that to kill everything. The big problem with that is they have these cybernetic ninjas. They're introduced later on, and they're super annoying because they'll throw like these shurikens at you, like 3 or 4 at a time.
They rapid fire, man. They're like,
and they keep running away from you. Yeah. So if you want to kill them with melee, you kind of have to back them into a corner, and then
they do like backflips and stuff. But if you can get them in a corner, then they can't get away.
Messed up.
Yeah.
But in this area, what you actually have to do is you have to track down, is it 3 or 4? I think it's 4.
I think it's 4, yeah.
Cybernetic ninjas, and they all have, no, it's 3. And they all
3.
have a chip. So like one is like a quantum simulation chip. I don't actually remember why you need that.
You need to override, like, because Xerxes, I think, has control of, or the many have control of parts of the ship, and by doing this, you give Shodan some control back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she basically wants to dunk Xerxes here.
Yeah, and so at this point, you're like, well, I mean, Shodan did debate me and deceive me this whole way, but I guess I'll help her because whatever. The many seem
what else
far
are you
more,
gonna do?
Yeah, they've been attacking me a lot more than Shodan has. So
yeah. One of these locations, we're still on that level trying to find the cybernetic ninjas, but one of these locations we went to was a brig. I don't know if you found the brig.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And it's cool because you go into a little jail cell. There's 3 jail cells. 2 of them are locked off, and one of them is empty. And so you go in there, and it all of a sudden like turns on. And it's like, oh, you're trapped in here, and worms come out.
Oh yeah.
But
worms.
So you kill the worms, and you're like, oh well, am I stuck? Is that?
Yeah.
And so you look around, and you up at the top here, you see like a little window with an electricity junction box, if you will.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, that's cool. And so you smash that or you shoot it. Again, if you don't have a way to hit that, you're done.
You can jump and melee it because that's what I did.
But if you don't have a melee weapon,
I guess so, yeah.
You're done.
True.
Anyway, you can do that, and then it'll open up, and you're like, all right, cool. That was.
Luckily, I had a lot of experience in destroying panels that were on walls.
I saw you were running around hitting panels. I was like,
yeah,
that's
man.
Like,
well,
were
it
you
was
hunting for secrets?
It was so satisfying. It was like cleaning the walls because they would get destroyed, and then it would just be the sheer wall. No, like most of the time, no junk. Like some of the panels would leave stuff behind, but it would just be nice and flat and very satisfying.
Now we finished up Area 4. We gave control back to Shodan, and we go up to Area 5, which I think is the recreation deck. And up here, you are greeted with, this is the first location where you see another living human. And
there's another location. There's like a lady, and she gets chased by something. I don't remember where it was.
I think that's a little bit later on. That's in the Shuttle Bay, I believe. Maybe I might be misremembering, but there is a situation like that
gotcha.
I know for sure. And so you get here, and this whole area is a big mall. There's a lot of stores. It's really well done, and essentially what you do up here is you have to align a transponder device to, I think it's to broadcast a message. And they have a really cool mechanic, although it's kind of a pain. And the guys that have set this up, they basically wanted to make sure that, I don't remember if it's the many that were watching them or someone was watching them, so they had to encode their secret message in a way that other people wouldn't see. And so what they do is, I don't know if you saw the art stations, like the pictures, the multi-pictures that you can play with.
Yes.
So what they do is they hide key codes inside of those pictures.
Oh man.
And so what you'll do is you'll go, and there's 4 of them total, I think.
Okay.
And you'll cycle through the pictures, and then you'll just see number like 10.
Oh.
And you're like, okay, so you write those all down.
Nice.
And then you collect them all. But the problem is you have absolutely no idea. As far as I can tell, you have no idea where to find them.
Interesting.
So if you miss one, this area is actually really, really big.
Okay.
Probably one of the biggest floors in the entire game, because there's multiple sections of this. There's like the mall section. There's like a garden section, and each of those has 2 of these. But if you miss one, you're like, well, I guess I'm just going through the whole world again trying to find that one picture.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I really like that because it kind of...
it's realistic.
It's realistic, and it makes you kind of have to pay attention to details.
Definitely. And that's something I think is typical of kind of older games.
Oh, yeah.
They don't, there's not a big indicator on your map that's like for this specific thing that was supposed to be hidden anyways. So
yeah.
you either have to have been paying attention in the first place or just... do your diligence and backtracking and
it's like if you get to the part where you need it and you don't have it, It's just like, tough luck, kid. Get it or stop playing our game. Stop bothering me. Go find the stuff you need.
Wow. That's basically what they're saying by designing it that way.
Yeah. But I think it's really cool because, like I said, it makes you pay attention to detail and absorb the environment.
Yeah.
One of the pictures is actually tilted. It looks like it fell upside down.
Interesting.
So, and it's one of those. Like, it looks like the numbers could go upside or right side. But
it's like a 2, like a blocky 2.
Yeah, I think it's like a 9.
Oh yeah, 9 or a 6. Yeah,
a 9 or a 6. Yeah. In any case, you collect all those numbers there, and you have to go to the transponder. But before we do that, we're hanging out in the garden, which isn't very pleasant because it's more of a graveyard now.
Yeah, this place is a mess.
And so you're finding all these open graves of just people stuck in there, and you have to basically grave rob them.
I mean, you got to make use of what they can't anymore, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a survival. Yeah. And one of the things you get is a crew access card. And so that will allow you to open on to the next area. And I think the next area, we're going to get there in just a second. I think the next area is the actual mall, and they have a really well built out area.
So full disclosure, this is actually as far as I've gotten in the game, and I'm going to continue playing it today. But I'm going to get a little bit spoiled on things. But,
well, it's still a really great experience, and we do skip over a bunch of stuff. So
sure, yeah.
But you'll know the ending, but I don't think I bet you could tell us the ending right now.
I probably guess right now, yeah.
Now, I'm sure that you faced off against these big mechs that shoot lightning balls at you.
Oh, yes.
How did you deal with those?
I found that if you just strafe around them very tightly, you can just hit them in the back, and they're like,
they're like rotating.
Cannot compute. Not enough speed, and then but especially the first incarnation of those are like yellow, and they're not too bad. They don't hit too hard, but the second incarnation are like white, and they shoot like straight lasers, and those hurt really bad, and they have really good aim too. Whereas the first one's kind of have slower moving projectiles. But,
and again, all of them will explode when you melee them. Yeah. So it's like you either have to eat that last explosion, or you have to step off, and then shoot them from a distance.
Yeah, if I couldn't close the gap quickly enough, I would just chill back and use a pistol and use the armor-piercing rounds, because it's about like 8 shots or something like that. I was playing on normal. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I was playing on normal also, and I actually I had some difficulties in the game, at least early on. So yeah, here's a location where you find the art piece has the number in it. So early on, again, as a psionics, you're dumping so many points into just trying to build up your character that I was really strapped for cash and healing stuff. But eventually that stuff sort of like, you hit like a point where you're like, okay, now I can do everything.
Right.
And then you just start just hoarding all sorts of stuff. So if you're willing to take this sort of slow approach to the first couple levels, the last areas become a lot easier. One of the abilities I have was straight up invisibility.
Wow.
Where it's just like, all right, just run around
and
do whatever you want.
Complete? Like you can just walk right, you can brush up against people and they won't notice? Wow.
Now it is a little weird, and I'm not sure if this is a bug or if this is intended, but if someone sees you and then you go invisible, they'll still track you.
They still know where you are.
But
they smell you.
Even the robots, yeah.
Well, you know.
But if you can hide and then do the invisibility, it seems to work out.
Nice.
But I use that to great effect here in the mall because there's like 3 or 4 of those mechs that will wander around, and it just takes a lot of resources to kill them, and you don't really get anything for it.
Yeah, I was in the mall section, and I was comfortable with meleeing the mechs at that point, so I would just see where they're patrolling and then wait around a corner. So they'd come around the corner, and then I just run to their back and then just smack them.
Now, there's a bunch of really nice stations up here for people, crew members. There was a gambling station, which
I spend all my money on it.
I guess let's talk a little bit about the ethics of having a gambling rig on a multi-year voyage where you're locked in.
You got to have some fun, man. I don't know.
Where does the money go?
It goes. It's digital, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They beam it back to.
The other thing, it probably takes a very long time to beam back, also because they're many light years away, I believe here, and so you also see a movie station or a movie theater, which is cool, and then you go to an escort.
This is where I left off, was
Okay.
trying to grind money
Yeah.
to...
Oh, so we're actually going to go through all of them. So there's there's an escort area.
Oh,
and
no.
you go into the there's a vending machine, and you can buy basically key codes to get into all the vendors. And so I kind of cheese this because only one of them has anything worthwhile.
Oh.
And so I just buy all the codes and I go in there. I'm like, there's nothing here. But the very last one I get, I think it's Nikki. And actually, there's a reason why we'll talk about in just a minute. But you go in there and there's like 3,000 credits. You're like, holy payday.
Oh, wow.
But later on, or maybe earlier on, depending on how you explore,
Yeah.
you find an audio log of some guy who's like, I was stayed up late last night with Nikki and I left all my credits there.
Oh,
Darn
nice.
it.
Nice.
And so you're like, okay, so I know Nikki's the one I got to go into.
World building, man. That's how
Yeah.
you...
Now, I don't feel bad about cheesing this because, again, it costs about 120 credits.
Yeah.
I think they call them nanites.
Yeah.
But whatever, we'll call it credits. And it costs about 120 nanites to get into each one of these areas, and most of them it will just eat your money, and it's like, well, cool.
Yeah.
But the other one, you basically charge 120 nanites to get like 3,000. So that's a good return on investment there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember what exactly we're doing here. I think essentially what we want to do is get up to the Shuttle Bay. And again, a little fuzzy about why we're in the recreation. We might need to get some access codes or access keys to get there. Essentially, actually, before we get any further, I want to talk a little bit about OS stations because we just passed one.
Yep.
And I was reminded I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. So did you find any of the OS upgrade stations?
I found two.
Okay.
And the second one was here. And they,
in the mall, right?
in the mall.
Yeah.
And they have perks that you can just choose from. I think the first one that I went with was 15% movement speed because, my goodness, you can get these. Well, this is a little bit of a sidestep to that, but there are cybernetic modules that you can equip, and they have like an energy level, and every 10 seconds, like that energy will tick down. So you can eventually recharge them at the recharging stations, but one of them is it increases your speed. And so I got that one, and that was the one that's my favorite.
So also agility will also increase your speed.
Okay,
so you can
okay.
go very, very
Nice.
fast.
Yeah. So in addition to that, I got the 15% movement speed perk from the OS station, and I just
You're
fly
flying all around.
It's so nice
It
because
does make it hard to aim, like come out and aim and shoot cameras when you're like flying across you're like drifting across the corners there.
yeah, it really helps with backtracking though, and just like running away or like kiting enemies. So the way I would handle like the self-destructing bots is I would just run up to them and then run away, and with enough speed you can just outrange their explosion when they do.
Yeah. That's true.
kamikaze,
Yeah. Actually, a quick reminder, I'd forgotten why we were still in this area, but we are still trying to find the transponder signals here. And so we got to the gym, which is the gymnasium where they actually have installed the signal booster thing. And so I have 3 out of the 4 combinations, and I'm like, well, I know, or I'm assuming it's going to be a keypad. So if I have most of the numbers,
right,
I'll just brute force my way through this because I was like, ain't no way I'm going to go through all these areas again and just find one more number. Now, I didn't do this, but I had seen on the internet that you're at the top of the gymnasium and there's a basketball hoop down there. And apparently if you can pick up a basketball and throw it in there, you'll get a little Easter egg. It'll be from a monkey, which, by the way, we didn't talk about Cybernetic Monkeys. Maybe we'll talk about that next. But there'll be a monkey that is like a picture of a banana, and he'll give you some sort of message. He's like, hey, you found my secret.
Nice.
So that's kind of cool. But let's talk a little bit about some of the enemies. We've talked about the humans, but we haven't really talked about the matriarchs or the cybernetic monkeys. So why don't you tell us about those?
Yeah, there's the cybernetic monkeys, which... the first time I encountered them, I heard monkey sounds. They're very much. I actually had the question when I was playing this of like, which game did like ambient growls first. I think it was Doom, right? Like if you're a screen away from a monster, but it hasn't seen you yet, it'll just kind of make noise. And you're like, I know that's around the corner. Well, in this, they have a lot of those. And so I heard a monkey and I was like, monkey? Okay, maybe there's like a testing lab or something like that. And these monkeys, you can read in the lore as well, or listen on audio logs how they've been like psionically enhanced and they're super intelligent, but they'll fire these psionic blasts at you that hurt a lot.
Oh yeah, and they actually upgrade. They start out with basic little frost bolts, and then they move to fire bolts.
Oh my
gosh. like you're talking about the lore. Someone's like, who needs 125 monkeys on the station? Also think about the sanitary concerns.
How much poop is that per day? Yeah, it's ridiculous. But
and then the next thing that's kind of creepy is this cybernetic matriarchs.
I think the midwives.
Midwives, that's
midwives. Right. And yeah, they're very creepy moms that they shoot lasers at you, or they just like slash you. But I found if you run up and melee spam them, they get stun locked pretty well. So
yeah, and they have these. You're talking about ambient sounds. They have this sort of like two sounds that are really distinct. They have these sort of servos that are moving around, and they have this sort of like moan or screech that they kind of do. It's like, it's very unnerving.
It's creepy. But also you through the lore again, you can learn about how like that was something that were created from females, because people are like, I don't know where all my girlfriends went. Like 16 of my girlfriends are missing and this and that. And it's creepy.
You do see a ghostly projection of this, and I believe it's like they're basically using the women to host the many. So it's like, ugh.
Nice.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's
All right, so now we have done the transponder thing. We're trying to send a message out, and the next thing is you get to the Shuttle Bay, and I think maybe this is what you're talking about. Where, oh wait, no, you haven't got to this part.
No, I hadn't gotten to this part, but yeah.
Well, you get to the Shuttle Bay, and you see two people, and they're running away from. I think they're called the Bruisers. It's just this big, bulky thing that will come and melee you.
Makes sense.
And they're running off to the shuttle. Their shuttle. They're escaping. Actually, I believe that we'll see them later on in the game.
Oh.
Yeah. But essentially, they dropped off a key card, and where did the key card go to? I think the key card allows you to get to the bridge, if I remember right. So, and this is the it allows you to get to the bridge, and once you get to the bridge, this is when the game, I think, starts to break down a little bit, because there's a lot of backtracking that occurs. And so while it's cool to revisit areas, it wasn't a whole lot of fun. So essentially, you'll have to go back down to the engineering deck to type in some codes. You'll have to go around to some other areas to like do some things that you had seen earlier in the game, but weren't able to interact with. All in service of trying to destroy these shuttles.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get to the shuttles because Shodan tells you that that the many are trying to escape.
They're trying to jettison off.
Yeah. And so you're like, well, we got to stop this. And in this situation, you're still, you and Shodan still have this sort of tentative relationship where you're like, hey, the many is the bigger threat here, so we're going to go ahead and take care of you there.
Well, yeah, and the whole way that Shodan survived and the many in the first place was she got shuttled off of, the station last time.
Oh, that's a good point. Because I forgot to really explain how the many actually came to the ship. And this reminds me a lot about Dead Space. I know that you're a big fan of Dead Space. I'm a huge fan of Dead Space. I love the lore.
Yeah.
But essentially what happens is they found this mysterious relic on Tau Ceti. And, classic moves. They're like, all right, well, let's go ahead and take this mysterious artifact on board for research purposes, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, it starts infecting people. Essentially, we kind of dipped in this a little bit earlier, to be more specific, Shodan created the many, but then she went into stasis so they basically ejected her from Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
She created the many as like her creation, and then went into stasis for some reason. And then when she woke up, they were out of control.
Yeah.
And so I think that's also really cool because it's like Shodan she's got some baggage that is coming along with her, you know.
That's one way to put it. Just baggage. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, as you can see here, I have on the right side of my screen, I've got a bunch of buffs. You were talking about your level 5 cybernetic implants. So dang. I'm rolling up here with so as far as I could tell, the damage resistance stacks. So nice. The level 1 psionics is like plus 15% damage reduction. Level 5 is plus 60. Plus I've got armor on. So like I'm just going up these guys and it's just like, ain't nothing gonna touch me.
Yeah.
But so we're also moved into the shuttle room, which I was talking about. We're trying to get there. There's 2 shuttles that are hosting the menu. The first one you can just blow up, no big deal. The second one has a shield that's generated.
Oh, I gotcha. And I always loved in games like this where you can just run up and melee a giant ship and it just explodes. Like that happened during Half-Life 2. There was a tank and I was like, I'll try and kill this tank. Crowbar, explode. Oh, yeah, that works.
Now this is the area that actually I was talking, you could get soft lock. So to blow up the second ship, there's a shield generator here. And in order to do that, you have to hack one of the vending machines, and that will then grant you access to a new piece of equipment, or it's like an item. That costs like 100 nanites, so no, actually, I don't think you get soft lock there either because enemies will continuously respawn in the game and drop like 5 or 10 nanites. So you could farm if you didn't have that, but there's no way to farm more cybernetic modules to give yourself enough hacking.
Gotcha.
But assuming you have enough hacking, you hack into that vending machine and you get this little piece of equipment, and then you drop that onto the shield generator, and that overloads, and then the ship's blown up, and Shodan is very pleased with you.
Very pleased.
Yeah. Now, we're not done yet. So the next thing you have to do is you go back up to the bridge, and there's like these little dangly, almost like you remember when we were playing Half-Life?
Yeah.
There was the end boss there, whatever you remember the name of that? Nilhenlith or something.
I don't know, the baby.
Yeah, the flying baby. In any case, there's one of these type of things that you have to hit or you kill. It's like a cybernetic projection or psionic projection, and then once you kill it, you can go kill like a little brain stem, and if you don't kill the brain stem, it will keep respawning.
Interesting.
So be on the lookout for that one.
Okay. Yeah.
And then after that, you go to more shuttle locations, and there's 15 of these eggs that are kind of scattered around this big area.
Oh boy.
And at this point, you're just like, oh, come on, really? I love System Shock 2. It's so fun.
Yeah.
But there's a point where you're just like, come on, let's go. So you have to find 15 eggs. And again, this is a situation where you could miss one.
Yeah,
and have to backtrack
so
now,
much.
They do a pretty good job, though, of sort of gating that off. There's 2 things you actually need to do here. The first thing is you have to find those 15 eggs.
Yep.
They're again scattered all around. And the second thing is there's these like gravitational inverters you have to flip. And so we'll get to that around one of the last eggs.
Sure.
But yeah, you have to kind of find these 15 eggs. And again, there's no real indication where to go. Most of the time, they're pretty well out in the open, but occasionally they'll be like, one's on the side of a wall, so you have to kind of look around a little bit there. And you can also melee them. They look like they explode and have toxic stuff, but they don't actually.
Okay, I was going to ask because there are eggs that spawn little like worms, and if you get close to them, they'll explode. And
yeah. Let's talk about toxic damage because that stuff wrecks you.
Oh yeah, so where I practically left off. I was poisoned for like 20 minutes running around.
I don't think that stuff goes off.
No, it doesn't. I think it goes down, but not off.
Well, so there's 2 types. There's radiation.
Yep.
That will basically, as it goes down, it will damage you, and eventually you'll become fine.
Mm-hmm.
But toxicity will just keep hurting you.
Yeah, there's these giant spiders, and at some point they spawn a bunch of them when you're trying to find those chips off the Cyber Ninjas. And I got poisoned, and I didn't have any of the antitoxin. So I was frantically going from vending machine to vending machine because not all vending machines sell the same things, trying to find antitoxin. And then when you I found one on a corpse or something, and I was like, yes! And I used it, and it only removed like a part of my toxic state. So I was like, no.
Well, the good thing about that is if you do find they have a reconstruction chamber on each level, and if you die, it'll basically take some of your nanites and you will resurrect with some health and psi power. So there is a way if you do absolutely have that toxic on you and you can't get it off, you basically eat 10 credits
just
and
die,
then you die.
Yeah. But so I had a problem where I had gambled away all my money.
Oh no.
So when I finally did find a toxic place, I was like, no.
Chat should have been less enabling on that for you. They'd be like, hey, Lobos, you got...
I'm all for gambling. I mean, so I won once out of like 120 nanites spent. So I did double that particular bet.
Okay.
But then I lost like 50 times. So yeah.
Now, after you complete this whole area, you basically essentially what you want to do is you want to go to the Rickenbacker because Shodan says, "Hey, buddy, let's blow this popsicle stand, and we'll go back to the Rickenbacker. You and me, we'll do this together, and then leave the Von Braun behind." So what you do is you send a shuttle, like an escape pod, crashing into the Rickenbacker, which is just all you see is like this big fleshy mass. And you basically just crash into there. There's no way to get back to the Von Braun, so that's a hard. If there's anything you wanted to do, that's a hard
point of no return.
Yeah. And this is, in similar ways to Zen in Half-Life, it's sort of a weak area where it's not super fun to play and it's all biological. Again, what I really like about the science fiction games like Dead Space or this is being on the spaceships.
Right.
Because I think it's really cool to explore that. But then when you get to the alien, you're like, all right, this is a necessary evil because you got to, But I'm not super excited to play it. But you go here and it's this, you kind of go into this big, it almost looks like a body. Because that's actually literally what it is. There's a bunch of vessels, like veins and stuff. They even call the doors sphincters.
Oh, nice.
And so you have to like blow up these little things to open up those sphincters, and then to move on.
Are you running around invisible right now? I don't see the buff, but nothing seems to be noticing.
I am not invisible, but I am just moving very quickly.
Okay.
So again, I really dislike this area, and
there's a lot of stuff.
One of the things you have to do near the end of the the Rickenbacker here is you have to go to basically the heart of the many.
Yep. And
this is there are so many enemies here, and there's these little graves that have those brain stems I was talking about. So you want to go in there and you kill a bunch of those, so the psionic guys won't respawn. But they have these bruisers that are running at you. And they'll continuously respawn 2 at a time.
Oh my gosh.
So you will always have 2 enemies on you. So it's such a pain.
Oof.
And then essentially what you have to do is there's 3 little stars that are orbiting the
heart.
The heart, I guess. Yep. By the way, this is the same heart that you saw earlier in the game when we're going into the cargo bay.
Right.
But if you don't have guns, this stuff is really hard to hit. So I recommend, you saving some bullets or whatever for
I have so many bullets, so
awesome.
I don't think it's going to be a problem.
For a melee build, it might be technically possible to do this, but I just find it very hard because in the same way like Dark Souls, where if it looks like the model has hit the wall, it will hit the wall and stop your attack.
Right.
So you kind of have to line up your visual representation of the melee weapon with what you're actually trying to hit. So it's just very, very hard. But you eventually... with enough patience, you'll kill the heart here. Oof. And it's just a really cool explosion. I was a little saddened to see that when the heart explodes, all the many that were around don't just like drop
die.
dead.
Yeah, that would be real convenient.
Yeah. So you kind of have to clean up that fight, and then you jump inside, and you have what looks like the bridge of the Rickenbacker.
Yep.
And again, I think it's Dr. Polito who's audio log you find, and she's like, if you found this, I'm already dead. And she kind of goes on to explain how things went. But you get teleported into this basically Shodan's lair. And by the way, as you're going through the Rickenbacker, Shodan's getting kind of progressively more angry with you. Now, she was already a little passive-aggressive with you before. She's always like, you are the most marvelous waste of human space ever, as you're completing stuff, right? But now she's like, oh, I'm going to kill you. You know, you got...
What? Shodan, come on. Come on.
So, and here's what's really cool, though, is you find out what she wants to do is she wants to, like, by using the FTL drive to sort of manipulate space and time, she wants to merge the cybernetic world with the real world and basically allow her to take control of some amount of reality through cyberspace.
I mean, that's a valiant goal. I can't blame her. If she's able to do that, then heck, all the power to her.
Essentially, what you do is you go through her holographic world, and this area right here is this like almost Tron-looking thing. There's like this big tube you're going down. It's really cool. The lighting is going up and down as you're kind of falling down. And this is the last fight in the game. It's you're facing off against Shodan, and hacking is necessary for this. 100% necessary, or you need to have those ice modules. When I played this originally as a kid, I had no points in hacking.
Oh, no.
And I would use my ice modules to get past crit paths, and it's nearly impossible to beat this without. And so I never beat it. And so this was the first time I actually beat it, and I knew hacking was super important.
Sure.
So essentially, Shodan is sitting in the very middle of the room, and she's got this force field up.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's these 3 control stations that you have to hack. By the way, there's the floor under these control stations is blinks on and off,
and it damages you.
It damages you. And then you've got you got Shodan's projection, which is running around the world, also shooting at you. Perfect. And so this is why having high hacking is so important, because you can just run to the thing, click, click, click. Okay, cool. Run to the next one, click, click, click. All right, it's done. Once you get all 3, or is it 4? In any case, once you get them all, the shield comes down, and all you got to do is shoot a couple bullets or fireballs on over to Shodan herself, and that's basically System Shock 2.
Dang.
And she has these little colors that come out, and you do a cut scene of Shodan talking to you. And this is actually one of the cheesiest lines. I think maybe they intended it to be really cool, but basically, to talk about your character a little bit, the graphics are so bad that your character is basically like his face is a triangle. It's really bad. And so it looks comical. Anyway, Shodan's like, we together, you and I can rule forever. Just give me another chance. And your guy just pulls up a gun, and he's like, nah. And then he shoots the monitor.
That's awesome.
And it's like, and then she's like, no. And I'm like, continuity error. My guy didn't even have a gun in his inventory because I didn't use it.
Called out.
I know. Well, and that's the thing. You actually have to have points in a gun to even equip it.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, well, throw away the gun. We're not going to really use it.
Maybe your character was infused by Shodan's remnants after you destroyed her, now you can do everything.
And the gun was, I guess I am in her little world here, so I could see maybe she put a gun in my hand or whatever. I think we're making up too many, fixing too many plot holes here. That's
fine. It's fine.
Yeah. But I think this is really cool because you finally get this face-to-face time with Shodan.
Yeah.
You hadn't got to really talk to her since Deck 4. So, you shoot her. Again, I'm not sure why shooting the screen kills her.
That's how computers work, man.
That's true.
Like,
if your computer's acting up, slap the monitor.
Yeah, you have a computer, but if you shoot the monitor, then it breaks the computer. That's how it works. I mean, you can't see to disprove it, so...
Yeah. Now, the last scene here is with... I think the name is Tommy, and I don't remember the woman's name. Again, I'm pretty sure these are the same people we saw run away in the Shuttle Bay.
In the shuttle.
But they get a transponder device. They're like, "Hey, come back! We have survivors here. Come back!" And so they're like, "All right, we're changing our course to come back." And then the woman from behind, you kind of hear Shodan's voice, and you see the hair kind of come out, and she's like, "Don't you like my new look?" And then she's like, "Mwah, ha, 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 ha." And that's kind of a cool little end to
cliffhanger
System Shock too, because it's like, well, if they're not going to rescue you, how do you get off that ship?
That's a good question. Maybe you don't ever.
Well, again, that's System Shock 2. The credits are pretty cool. The way they do the credits is they have all the developers, and they're kind of green screened in, lying dead, and they have a little bit of
lore on
them there.
Now there hasn't been a System Shock 3, is that right?
There is one in development.
That's
but
what I thought.
We'll see how that actually gets released.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, yeah. So I guess we can talk a little bit about housekeeping. Actually, before that, let's give a quick shout out to all of our Patreon supporters for helping us out and supporting us. We got a new Patreon this week. Their name is Bahoon.
Bahoon.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate your support. Again, if you like what you see and you'd like to support the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Gaming Show to learn more. And actually, on topic of Patreon, I want to talk about a couple of the changes we're going to be making for Season 2. So again,
that's right.
This is the end of Season 1, 10 episodes in. And so this is always a good opportunity to reflect on things that are working and things we'd like to improve on. So the first thing is the Discord was previously gated behind the Patreon subscription.
Right.
But I think we decided that we'd rather have just more people in and not worry about gating off anything. So the Discord is going to be completely free now for everyone.
Yay!
And there are links, and then we'll post links on the Twitter. But this is a really great opportunity for you all to come in. If you want to play the game alongside us, we have channels for each of the games. So come in there and chat with people about your experiences in the game.
Heck yeah.
It's been a good time so far, but it would be interesting to have even more people in there. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, that would be really great. Now, as you can tell, we are streaming on the Saturday Morning Gaming Show channel, although that's probably going to be rebranded. So a lot of things are kind of up in the air. So my recommendation is to follow us on Saturday M Gaming on Twitter. You'll get all the updates there and make sure you have all the information you needed. But we'll talk a little bit of the changes we're going to do in Season 2. So one of the opportunities we had was we had Tom.
Yeah.
Retrograde Tom was on last episode for Myst.
Yeah, that was great.
And he worked out so well. I was like, "Hey, Tom, would you be interested in doing this on a more permanent basis?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And so going forward, we're actually going to alternate guests. So it's basically going to always be me, because I've got all the setup and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
We're going to swap off between Lobos and Retrograde Tom. And that's a really great opportunity for us to cover different sort of games that we might not have been able to cover, as well. Something like Baldur's Gate, or Might and Magic, or things that just require a ton of time that no one's going to watch 80 hours of Baldur's Gate on the internet. But if we play it on our own time, that's a feasible thing. So it's going to help us break up some of the cadence of the shows and allow us to get some more fresh perspectives, fresh games, an opportunity to really explore the games deeper and stuff like that. So the next episode, and that's why we swapped to the Saturday Morning Gaming Show channel.
Right, yeah.
So Lobos will continue to support us and host us when he's on the show.
Absolutely.
But we're no longer going to be on Lobos' channel, and that was always the idea. We always wanted to use you as sort of like, hey, yeah, we wanted to use you. Now we always wanted to utilize. That's a better word. Utilize your channel, what you've got, but we never wanted this to become a thing where it was like on your channel, because you got your own content, you have your own brand, and we didn't want to enforce those requirements and time restraints. So, again, future streams we're still going to do on a bi-weekly podcast, bi-weekly show on Twitch. It's just going to swap between me and Tom and Lobos. So I think that's a really exciting change. Season 2 is going to start November 9th. We'll talk about the next game here in just a minute here.
Oh, dang.
But yeah, Season 2 will start on November 9th with Retrograde Tom.
Season 2, that means a reset of the Hall of Heroes, doesn't it? Oh, boy.
So let's actually talk about the Hall of Heroes.
Let's.
So the Hall of Heroes is a chance for you to flex your gamer cred. all you need to do is beat the game of the week or the podcast. Then you just take a snapshot of the credit screen with your same name somewhere nearby, and then you can upload it to Imager and shoot us a message over to SaturdayMorningGamingShow@gmail.com. But let's actually go over the Hall of Heroes entrance for System Shock. Now, we did just only have one submission this time.
Only one?
Yeah, it was System Shock 2 was a long game here. So let's pull this up here. It is Nonsense Megia. And Nonsense Megia had a message here.
Oh.
But I seem to have misplaced it.
Oh.
Hold on.
Thank
I'm
you,
gonna
Nonsense
go get
Megia.
it. I'm gonna go get it because it is important.
Okay.
And we'll just edit
very
this part
important.
out.
Yeah, no. Edit or edit it in. Because now it's just hello. Couldn't finish this one in time. Hey, no worries, Gaming Steiner. Thanks for always being at the top of the leaderboards. I think you're still there, probably. As we close season 1. But I hope you enjoyed it if you got to play it. I also didn't finish it in time. I've just been really busy. That's actually one of the reasons that I've been decided to step back on doing the bi-weekly and just move to monthly, especially with all the stuff I got going around with, new house and all this stuff, and just various stream time things taking up a lot of things. But yeah, no, I've loved it, and I'm totally going to finish it. We're going to continue playing it today. Although I had a little bit spoiled on this show, but we'll play through it and see all the little intricacies that it has to offer.
All right, so let's talk about Nonsense Megia. So I don't remember where we left off, but I said something like, we did have an applicant or one submission today, and that was from Nonsense Megia. Nonsense Megia says, "Hey guys, great first season of the podcast. Had a blast on my first playthrough, System Shock 2, and really enjoyed playing along with you guys. Looking forward to season 2 of the podcast."
Woo! Thanks, Nonsense
Me too.
Megia.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, sadly, we have reached the end credits of this episode, and we wanted to thank everyone for watching us on Twitch or listening to us on the podcast.
Oh, wait, did we have a total for the Hall of Heroes points?
Oh, we did.
That's it's the end of the season, so.
Yes, we did. All right, so let's go over the final results of season 1 of the Halls of Heroes.
Oh man.
All right, now this is actually kind of small.
You can handle it.
Okay.
I may not be able to read all that, but you got it.
I got this. All right, so at 15, we have a 4-way tie. Kyle Mack, Datashi Senpai, Splov1, and Kyaku all finishing with 5 points. At number 11, we have Yoshi 355, Lulu Kachu, Jazz Never Sleeps, and Dogtype finishing with 10 points. At number 7 is Tobanagu with 15. Next Star at number 6 with 20 points. Alamaxia, number 5 with 50 points. Number 4, Nonsense Megia with 65. At number 3, we have Haratham at 70, and tied for losers.
Wow.
Gaming Steiner and Brisk Mountain both at 80 points. So no winners this year.
Wow.
This
Everybody
season.
is a winner. What
Yeah.
are you talking about?
Everyone's a winner.
Everyone wins. So season 2, we'll kick off with next time.
Yeah, November 9th.
And what game are we doing?
We're going to be doing Full Throttle.
Oh, snap.
That's a great game. It's pretty short, too, so if you want to get on those leaderboards right away, you could probably beat that game in a good 4 or 5 hours.
That's awesome. I remember playing Full Throttle, like the original when I was a kid.
It's super fun.
I don't remember if I ever beat it. But,
well, you should beat it and get on those leaderboards.
oh, man, if I could get on that leaderboard. Dang.
So let's do another take here. Sadly,
Sure.
we have reached the end credits of this episode, and we wanted to thank everyone for watching us on Twitch or listening to us on the podcast.
Our Twitch airs every other Saturday, 9:30 Central U.S. time, and the podcast releases the following Sunday. So make sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google, or whatever your platform of choice is.
If you have any feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Just shoot us an email at SaturdayMorningGamingShow@gmail.com.
Or hit us up on Twitter at SaturdayMGaming.
And a special shout out to TechnoAxe for much of the music this episode.
For Saturday Morning Gaming, I'm Lobos.
And I'm the Fat Wizard. We'll see you November 9th for the start of Season 2 with Full Throttle. All right.
Oh.
That's it. You knocked over your
microphone.
mic.
Good job.
That mic can never be used again.
It's my flaccid mic. What can I say? What can I say? Nice.
Well, again, thank you, everyone, for stopping in. I know it was kind of a last-minute change, but we do appreciate you stopping in and sticking through the channel here.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun playing System Shock, and I know that you'll have a good time finishing that up there.
Yeah, I might like try and speed run it based on because I mostly know what's going on, and now that I know that like there's some longer parts where you have to just kind of do some tasks.
It's kind of a grind there.
Yeah. Try and get through that.
Okay, well, I think what we're gonna do is, are you streaming?
I will be streaming. So I'm actually at the Fat Wizard's house because I broke down my whole setup as we're getting ready to move and everything.
And hopefully people couldn't tell because I think I did a pretty good job of recreating the scene. So
I think it looks pretty good. Pretty good. So yeah, you didn't even know.
We actually excavated Lobos's retro room and just brought it here.
That's true. The whole space of my house is just chunked out, and somebody was saying yesterday, just use a trebuchet to just fling it over here, and there you go.
That's a really great idea.
But yeah, I'll be going live as soon as I get home.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. Well, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna host Retrograde Tom while you get set up there, and then I'm sure everyone will kind of filter on over your channel. But let's give some Retrograde Tom a little bit of love.
Yeah, man, he's awesome, dude. Also,
yeah, he is. He's a lot of fun. So we're gonna probably cut straight from here. Actually, I think I'll do a thank you for watching.
Aw.
It's a pleasure having you all here. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Look at that wizard go.